Hello guys, welcome back.
So this week we are going to take some time and answer some of the awesome questions that you guys gave us last week. You had a lot of really good questions about different things that we haven't taken the time to really show you in detail. So we're going to go through those now.
You guys have also given me an opportunity to further explain some of the things we did, especially with electrical, and also make some corrections that were much needed. So I appreciate that.
Alright, well, let's get started. So for starters, let's talk about this new piece of furniture that I got, and I absolutely love it. It's just a regular old ottoman. I got it from Walmart, I think, walmart.com, and it fits perfectly right here, and it makes a really good seat, and it has an incredible amount of storage. So we have all of our games and movies, my computer stuff, extra blankets are all in here, and I still have tons of room. So this I absolutely love. This was a good thing. The other thing someone asked me was about the microwave, and the microwave lives right here and it is installed. What I did is we got, what is this stuff called? This sticky stuff.
It's just some weather stripping.
Weather stripping, there you go. Randy got a roll of sticky side down weather stripping, and so I cut pieces of it and put it like little bumpers all the way around the outside of the legs of the microwave, and so far it didn't move. And we took a really bumpy road the other day, and it didn't even budge. I'm not entirely sure it really needed it because it has wooden legs.
Rubber.
I'm not sure it really needed it because it has rubber legs and it didn't seem like it was moving anyway, but I wanted to be extra sure, so that stays there. But so far it's lived perfectly just right there, and it's all good. Someone else asked me about my seat, some more details about that. It is hooked to the ground, so it can't move backwards and forwards, but it's on a boat swivel, so it can go side to side, which is really nice when I'm getting up to do things while we're driving or to get back in. It's nice to be able to swivel it a little bit to the side to get in and out. It will turn all the way around, but we don't ever do that because it's so low to the ground so that I can see out the windshield, that if I turned it around I might as well just be sitting on the floor anyway because it's so low. So I don't use it for that, but like I said, it's nice when I'm getting in and out. And because it swivels, we weren't able to hook the seatbelt to the seat, so that's why you see this big pole right here. That's actually hooked down into the chassis of the boat, of the bus, so it doesn't move. So that'll keep me pretty safe in the event of a wreck. And it's pretty comfortable. It leans back, and I don't know why it leans so far back. It's not the way we did it, it's just the way the seat was made. So I keep a pillow here, and that kind of helps. And it doesn't have armrests, so I really wish it had armrests, but we opted to use this one because it matches Randy's, because it actually came with the bus. So we went for fashion over function, and if I had it to do over again, probably wouldn't. So I'm kind of keeping my eyes out for a better chair that has armrests, because when you're going a really long time, a really long drive, that's nice to have. But other than that, I'm happy because I'm in the front seat and not in the back, so it does what it needs to do. Oh, and also our new fireplace, not really a fireplace, I know, but I wanted a heater that looks pretty, so we picked this up, and it's not a real fireplace, but it's a nice night light, and it does keep us nice and toasty, so that's good.
Another question, someone asked when we would put in a smoke alarm or a carbon monoxide alarm, which we have. We just didn't show it before. I apologize too, this is actually the scene where we took down the carpet that ran the full length, and when Jamie painted this, we had a difference of idea where the paint was going to stop. I had to put the trim strip right here where the support was to screw into, but she stopped painting a little bit short. So
everything about me is a little bit short. I'm 5'4".
So the game plan is, long term, is this is all coming out, but for now we'll trim this carpet back up later and go ahead and add more paint. And I mean, it's function again over fashion. But this is I guess it's like a Kitty brand, I believe. It does smoke and carbon monoxide. Other than when we're using the propane burners. We don't really have anything producing carbon monoxide on the inside, but that is important to have this because we do cook in here. Everything else, this, for instance, this heat's electric, so it's not producing any carbon monoxide. But if there's an exhaust issue, I mean, from idling or whatever, again, we have some protection there.
Okay, here's another little detailed tour. This is of our kitchen, so you can see the kitchen sink is right here. And there's our trash can. I know this is kind of crowded looking. All of our food supplies are in here. All of our cooking supplies are in here. There's our little gas stove right there. And here's our trash can. And if you can see, that one actually blocks. I've got 4 more drawers right behind it there. Those are things that we hardly ever use. So it's like the extra bottles for the cooker, and just things like that, or refills for the paper towels, things that we don't get very often are back there. So that's what the kitchen looks like right now. And when we do a full tour, I'll give you a more detailed look into all our cabinets.
Alright guys, another question that came in this week was what kind of tools I use to cut open. If you guys look at previous videos, we actually had a wall here. This was a closet. They want to know what kind of tools I use to cut and what I ran into. I just used what I call a sawzall, or I guess a reciprocating saw with a metal blade, probably an 8-inch blade, and it was really not that difficult. There is steel in these walls. It's kind of a mild steel. It's maybe a 1/16 inch channel steel, and ended up cutting through, I think, one stud they had here. There's actually one right inside here, one right inside the wall here, so I ended up taking one out. There was also a 3-inch steel plate that ran horizontally up top and down low. Again, wasn't that bad to cut through, and Jamie's going to put a link there to a previous video that shows us actually cutting that out. Also guys, we had a couple of comments about the electrical panel I showed last week back in the closet. One of the things was a really good point someone made is about the batteries. Actually right now I have a bank of 3 12-volt marine batteries in the very bottom of the closet, and they made a very good point about things that could fall off the shelf, maybe land on the batteries and short things out and cause a fire or damage the batteries or damage the bus. What I didn't show is that you know, those bread racks have a lot of different levels that you can position the shelves. I had the lower level out so you can see the batteries. I've since returned that, so what we have, the aluminum racks are fixed into the sides of the bus. They can't move, and the batteries are wedged tightly across the floor so they can't move or shift. And then when I put the lower shelf in, it's actually a 3/4 inch sheet of plywood that goes just a few inches above the tops of the batteries, and it covers the complete closet from the rear wall to the closet door. So there's no room for anything to fall down that lower level. So the only thing down that lower level would be the 3 batteries for now, and then the actual 12-volt leads that run down into that compartment. That should be securely attached to a battery when in use. So anyway, there's nothing that can roll on top or touch those. I'm sorry I wasn't clear on the last video. The other comment that someone else made, I believe, that was also a good comment. I talked about how I was going to make a pigtail that would go from the 110 power inverter over to the 110 outlet that's wired into the bus when it's on land power, so that when we're not plugged in and we're driving, I could actually power the bus in reverse. And I know that's, in the electric world, that is an absolute no-no, because a lot can go wrong if you were to shoot power from both sides simultaneously. So I did take the advice of the viewer that said that I should just use an extension cord to run the refrigerator while we're motoring, and not run the risk of being forgetful and not turning off the main. However, what I will do in the future, I'll devise a lockout mechanism so that I will not be able to have both switches on, if that makes sense, at the same time. I don't think, for me, I mean, obviously if I were to sell the bus or to let someone else use it, it could be a bigger deal. But for me, it's just as simple as only one of the cables will be out of the storage area at one time, meaning I'll either have my 30 amp extension cord out that powers to the land supply, or I'll have the small little pigtail I made that goes from the 110 male to 110 male. Only one can be out at a time. So I can't power backwards into the land, into the breaker box. And also the other thing that could happen is underneath the bus where my 3-prong 30 amp plug is, if I were to leave that on, then those of course would be hot post. So in addition to cutting off the breaker, I actually just have an extra female plug that's I never wired. So I'll just plug that on so that worst case scenario, should someone flip a switch in our closet and send power back out, it will go nowhere. But anyway, until those fixes get in place, I'll just continue to use the extension cord while we're traveling. So the only appliance that'll be on by the inverter will be the fridge, just for the road. So I appreciate that tip. One more question, and it's still something I'm working through. So I'm actually looking for suggestions for those that have buses this size. They asked about the spare tire, and this vehicle did not come with a spare tire. And the more I think about it, I don't really recall seeing that many spares. I guess some could be underneath. So I will be looking for a spare. I have plenty of room underneath to put one. But on a practical note, if you see my hands are filthy, I've actually been working on my tires this week. And for a real practical note, I don't know how easy it would be to change a tire with the kind of equipment that I can carry on this on a regular trip. The jack that I used today to do some tire work was huge, massive jack. No place to put that. I do have a bottle jack, a 12-ton bottle jack on board that I do keep. I just don't know the surface area of that jack. I don't know if I'm going to sink it in the ground more than I'll lift the bus. This is about a 15,000 pound bus. But anyway, what I have done is upgraded my AAA coverage to include RV. So supposedly they would either come out and make the repairs on the side of the road, depending on the driver and their equipment of the service vehicle, or they will simply tow me back in to a location where it could be fixed. However, I do keep on board the old school tire plug repair kit. If I find a nail or something that's obvious, I could make that repair. It's not ideal, but it would get me off the road. I can make that repair. I do have an onboard air compressor. It's a small 110 air compressor, a little bit stronger than a 12 volt, but I can run it through the inverter. So I do have the ability to inflate the tires should I have a flat. Another good thing about this bus, there are 4 tires across the rear with the dualies. I've been told that I can run a tire pretty slack, and the other 3 will make up the difference. At least I can get some repairs made. Another good point. This week what I was working on is I actually had to install valve stem extensions, which I didn't know that really was a thing. I didn't really pay much attention to dualies, but you really have a hard time accessing the valve stems on the inside rear tire, and the outside for that matter, because it's facing in, to just even check your tire pressure or inflate. I did have a special inflator tip, I guess, that I could reach in and inflate it at home. But if I want the ability to air up at a gas station, truck stop, wherever, you may not always have that tip available. So if you have a question, if you ask me, I can probably find you the part number. I had to try a couple different brands to find the ones that work for this bus. But what I ended up adding was, I think it's a 5 1/4 inch valve stem extension.
And what we can do is next video for next week when it's light outside.
When it's daylight, yeah, we'll give you a tour. We'll show you how it works. But I'm using 2 different types of extensions.
So subscribe. Click the bell.
Exactly. You get notifications when we do this. But I did like I think it's a 5 1/4 inch extension that goes from the inner valve stem out to the outside so I can get to it. And then I had 2 little, I think it's 135-degree angle that goes from the inside valve stems coming out to the outside so I can access those. So I won't bore you with more of that stuff unless you have questions.
We'll get into that next week.
Yeah, we'll get into that in details later. If you have any specific questions, do let me know. You did have to remove the tires to get to those inner valve stems to put them on. And again, that's why I'm filthy, and that's why I realized that I would not want to change these tires on the shoulder of the highway. Anyway, hope that helps. And if you guys have any tips or pointers for us, I'm always looking for ideas.
So, as far as testing out this new seat, I guess we can prove now that it holds a lot of weight. Anyway, so thank you guys for watching our video and for staying to the end. Please subscribe if you haven't, And like I said, next week, hopefully, well, we got Thanksgiving coming up, but hopefully we're going to do the full walk around and show you guys more of the outside and the tires. And I do want to do a complete walkthrough where we show you all the ins and outs of all the drawers and things. And
as lived in, so you can see how things land.
Yeah.
On the outside, I have to do some of the little rubber trim replacement I need to do. So that's something I've been putting off, but I'll get that handled probably the next week or two. So stay tuned for that.
But anyway, again, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Give this a thumbs up if you liked it. Feel free to thumbs it down if you didn't. We're okay with that.
Keep the questions coming. I actually, it's kind of cool to know that you watch my boring stuff far enough to have questions. So that's that's pretty cool. So keep the questions coming.
So see you again next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.